Welcome to Talkin the Gridiron, your ultimate destination for all things NFL. We're here to deep dive into the heart of football, breaking down the action, the strategies, and the stories that make the NFL so electrifying. From the Sunday showdowns to Monday Night Magic, we're covering every touchdown, tackle, and timeout. So grab your game day snacks, settle into your favorite chair, and join us as we navigate the highs and lows of the gridiron, where the game is always on and the conversation never stops.
And we are back here talking the Gridiron week 4. We're a month in, Jimmy. Season 3, week 4. We're moving along already here. And Brian, the main man Johnson, is with us as well. And you're seeing all three of us out of rarity here. We are here on a victory Sunday. Victory. We are here. His Bengals get the dub. My Raiders.
Any dogs in the house?
Yeah. We got Brian with a victory Sunday as well. We got a lot to get into, a lot to hit around the NFL, a lot of good games today, kind of some odd matchups that turned into pretty good games, I thought, along the way as well. Getting to that, we got 21-3 right now as we're about to get into halftime with the Bills and Ravens as well. So big game night here on Sunday night. Ravens looking strong there. Henry already, Brian, with 8 carries, 108 yards. A lot of it on that 87-yarder, of course, as well, where he wasn't even look like he touched. So Ravens off to a strong start, Brian. I thought the Bills kind of were going to make a little noise tonight, but they better do it in the second half.
Yeah, they're missing Diggs tonight. They can't get any separation from their receivers.
We'll see what Allen can provide here. He's a pedestrian 9 for 16 with 42 yards. Jackson, 135, two TDs early in the game. So Ravens looking good here, headed into halftime, Jimmy. We'll keep everybody updated on that game as well. I know who Jimmy's rooting for in this game, so we'll see if he can get a little help along the way with it as well. Gentlemen, I say we dive right into it. We're going to get to our teams here a little bit, but I feel like there are some maybe game of the day for our teams, but I feel like we got to keep it. I want to go with a rare one that kind of like caught my attention kind of at the end there more was the Falcons and the Saints. And the reason I want to bring it up is because we didn't get to talk about much of it that Monday night game. They stole from the Eagles too much because obviously that was a Monday night game. And then we've always had John and Mike on here saying they believe in their kicker more than anybody else on their team. And sure enough, he hits it down 58 yards with the best stance in the league before he actually kicks a field goal. But it goes. And then the Saints, again, they start 2-0. Look good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to 500 again with this team. So I don't know what to think of this kind of matchup. That's just kind of caught my attention. So I wrote it down at the bottom. Who do you trust more, Carr or Cousins? Is it Cousins by far? But I don't know. Jimmy, what do you think?
It wouldn't be by far. I think all of the quarterbacks in this division are playing well, but all of these quarterbacks do have a low basement with what they are capable of. And we're seeing that with Derek Carr. We saw that with Baker Mayfield against the Broncos, but don't look now. Denver might have one of the top defenses in the league with what they've done the last 2 weekends. But I think that in this division, I would trust Kirk the most because technically he's had the most success, especially with those years out of Minnesota. But I wouldn't say that it's like a big thing. Right now, it's coming down to who's going to take advantage of the big plays. And Saints muffing a punt from the 2-yard line and knocking it backward into the end zone. That's a big play. That's a big momentum swing. That's probably more of a reason why they lost than Derek Carr.
Killer. You're right. That was. But I like to just kind of say there's a stigma with him. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying with it the whole time with it. He's
supposed to be lights out. It's an election year. Have you not seen that going around the internet? Every year in an election year, he has an MVP season, but it's not going well. So
what do you
what's going on?
What do you make of the Falcons, Brian? What do you think? That's a big win for them, 2-2.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. Maybe they can make a little.
I just felt like Carr's mediocrity cost him this game. It's just another game where he came out lackluster, and he just didn't impress me at all this whole game. And he came on at the end, but I mean, it's definitely the defensive player who got those 2 big defensive PI calls that really cost them.
That killed him, and that really killed him a ton. And the PI calls alone, but then the Falcons' ability to be able to kind of get the ball, run the ball a little bit today as well, that helped them a little bit too. So they got that with the holy howdy boys. Hope you're all doing well. Got a Mr. First Down tune in here. David Mays. The Cardinals need a holy intervention. Yes, they do. Those Cardinals do. They got just bombarded by the Commanders.
We're planning on slapping them around next week. Let's be honest.
Commanders are a solid team, apparently.
They are.
Don't let them fool you. Do not let them fool you, because that sucks to have to admit. But they are good. Jay Daniels is pretty damn good right now.
Jimmy, what do you think about a guy that's actually sneaky in the MVP conversation? If we're going up 4 weeks, baked potato here isn't that, they got him 3-1. He's looked good. We had Tom and him having some interesting conversations along the way today on the TV. That got a little headline news with some comments Mayfield had, and then Brady made some comments today. Well, people said strong. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad, but whatever with it. Jimmy, what did you think? Again, Baker rebounds. That was a bad loss last week to the Broncos. They come back. They look good. What was the yardage I saw at one point? It was like 147-0. Good win. They're continuing to look like a real team here. That's going to be a threat.
They can do this, but they also can. They also look like absolute garbage the week before. Their offensive line, their defense. I'm getting Antoine Winfield back in the secondary is probably huge for them. When they get Vita Vea back, I would probably trust that defense a little bit more right now. But there's not much. Like, he's playing well, and I'm not telling anybody that he's not in right now the MVP conversation. But has he done anything to really wow anybody? No. He's thrown for 300 yards more than most of the other quarterbacks in the season. He's won a lot of games, but in the game that he was bad in, he did not overcome a bad offensive line. He did not overcome his receivers getting shut down by these corners. And I feel like an MVP is somebody like a Lamar Jackson that can overcome those things because he is such an athletic freak. Josh Allen up until tonight, because tonight I would say that's hurting his case more than anything. But Josh Allen is another guy like that. Baker Mayfield is not one of those quarterbacks. He's a guy that can work a system to perfection. He's very smart. Not like he doesn't watch film or anything like that. I know everybody's seen the clip where he's talking back and forth to the middle linebacker because he thinks you're calling out checks, and he's wrong. The guy's wrong. He tells him that he's wrong to his face. Like, Baker's doing great things, but Baker is not the reason this Tampa Bay team is 3-1. Or he's also not the reason they lost last week. No,
I totally disagree with you.
Give me why, Brian. Give me why.
Baker Mayfield is playing very good. He got the contract, and he's come out and two impressive wins over the Eagles and the Lions. And Baker was the reason they won these games. Playing simple, he's played very well. And I have to say right now, he's like top 3 in the NFC as a quarterback, and you definitely have to say he has something to do with it. You can't just disregard.
Didn't say that he didn't have something to do with it, Brian. No, I'm just saying that he's not the reason they're winning. I don't think that he's the reason that they're winning.
He was a first round pick for a reason, because he's a good quarterback. Come on.
Did I say that he wasn't, Brian? Why do you decide not to listen and then make yourself look bad because you're saying stuff that I'm not saying?
I listened to what you said, and you're discounting Baker Mayfield, and you're saying that the Bucs were the reason, the defense was the reason they won this game, which is incorrect.
He has two really good receivers and a running game. He has 2 good receivers and a running game. Bucky Irving's coming on for him. He's not the sole reason the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are winning football games.
Oh, you're wrong, dude.
Was I wrong about Anthony Richardson? I'm not wrong about much, Brian. I hate that you keep trying to say that I am, but I'm not wrong about fucking much, dude.
I'm going to play the middleman of this. I'll go with it. I actually got to lean towards Brian a little bit on this one because I think Mayfield is actually.
You guys didn't agree with me with Anthony Richardson, and did we see how that played out today too? Like, come on now.
He did
Mayfield is day and night over Richardson. Like, come on, don't even make that comparison.
But based on today, if we're talking about today, I think Mayfield is playing well for the first 4 weeks of the season. I think he would be in the MVP conversation in this very short time. I think, Jimmy, you're right on the sense of he does have good pieces around. The wide receivers are legit. These aren't like bums that he's throwing to, obviously. And he finally has a team that believes in him. And he has an organization that actually believes in him. Brian, to your point as well, he was a high pick at some point. But as we know, that doesn't always pan out. I think it has to do more with the fact that he's in a place where he got comfortable right after, and the team finally believed in him. And he has good receivers. I think that is the biggest part that I kind of feel like that if you're going to call it on, that helps him. That's what we go with it. But I like the little banter, gentlemen. I like it. I did kind of hear that a little bit, Brian, too. That's why I kind of said I was leaning that way a little bit with you on it. All right. Eagles, though. They look. I mean, Jimmy, we had some concerns about this. To me, is a red flag loss. I know it's on the road, and I know like you said, the Bucs are a good team based on the other spots they have. But if I was an Eagles fan after a loss like this, I don't know. I still wouldn't be like it. It wouldn't feel good. Like I would be like, man, we got a lot of holes to fill here.
As the Eagles, I haven't been confident since they started that losing streak after going 10-0 last season. There's been something off about that entire situation since then. And coaching, I don't know if you guys saw the reports, but when Jalen Hurts is stepping up and shutting down Nick Sirianni's post-game speech in the locker room, and then he doesn't have anything else to say, I get that he's his own dude, and he can do it the way that he wants to. He's made a Super Bowl, been in the playoffs. He's obviously been more successful than I had him when he first got the job, but there's something about this guy. The team doesn't seem to respond, and the injury bugs are killing him. Without Lane Johnson, without Devontae Smith, they just can't get anything. They're not in rhythm. They haven't been in rhythm since they were 10-0 last season.
Brian, they play the Browns and the Giants the next 2 weeks, so they have a chance to get a little healthier, if you know what I mean with that. But I mean, exactly. Nick Sirianni, he could be on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be a perfect place for Bill Belichick to go to?
Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't mind having that as his quarterback there with it, but getting that foundation. Jimmy, you got something there before we finish it up?
I would like to see those press conferences, but they would all end in a fist fight.
Philadelphia.
Belichick's just going over the top of the podium, and all these Philadelphia beat writers.
We're on the Cincinnati. We're just on
I don't need to justify your question with a response. Oh, you really? That's what you think? That's what you think. Okay, Bill, let's go outside. Let's settle this in the parking lot.
No, you will justify this, and you will justify. Yeah, he's like, that's what he does. But he would give him nothing, man. Him and that media would be a very interesting combination.
Somebody who's better at Photoshop than me needs to do the scene from Rocky V when Tommy's convincing Rocky to fight in the bar, and then he finally punches Paulie, and then he finally turns around, and then when he turns around, it's just Bill Belichick's face, like, my ring's outside.
Yeah, Bill. My favorite Bill Belichick moment is still the dog at the draft. It's still my favorite one there. It's still highlighted. It's
not leaving the 22-year-old's apartment over the offseason.
Well, that was a win-win. Or I think there's another picture. He's like looking down at somebody's butt, right, like the lady's butt or something like that. Like there's that. It went viral for a long time on that. Where and his wife came out. It's like, well, she's a good-looking lady. That's all right. CJ Stroud, I got it here at the bottom. Other game of the day. The Jaguars. I mean, maybe they are the legit Chargers now at this point. Maybe that's who they are a little bit here. They are the Chargers when they go forward with it. I'm gonna see if I can get Jesse up on the stage here too at the same time. See if I can get him on. Jesse, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are muted. If you want to join us here, I'll get you on there. How you doing?
Yeah. I'm good, man. How are you guys? Well, I mean, I'm not super good because of the game, but
21-3 here. Yeah, halftime here. What do you think? What do you think with your Bills there? They've looked good to start earlier in the year. Me and Jimmy and Brian touched on the game there just for a brief moment as we got the pod started. We're a few games in here. Top recap in week 4. We got Jesse here from that other sports show. Glad you could spend some time with us. What do you think, real quick, with this Bills Ravens game? Is the Bills gonna make a comeback here for you? Or are you feeling pretty not very good about it?
Sean McDermott's good about second half adjustments, so I'm not super worried. I think that the physicality of the game is where I'm worried most. Buffalo's not hitting on those physical cylinders right off the line, both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They're just not hitting hard. Where you see Baltimore is just jumping off and just smashing people right away. That's where you win football games at the line of scrimmage, right, guys?
Yeah.
And Roquan Smith is making himself felt too. Like even on the James Cook got positive yardage early on, I think first or second quarter, but Roquan Smith hit him so hard that he goes flying back, and you don't normally see that at the NFL level. But Baltimore's pissed off about something. Probably that 1-3 start, right?
Well, they came into this game with the 32nd best secondary in the first 3 weeks of football. And I'm not saying that the Bills have the best wide receiving core, but they do have some guys that make moves on the field. And Baltimore's 32nd best secondary is shutting people down tonight.
So we get 21-3 here. There's a lot of work to be done for your Bills here. We'll keep us kind of updated here as we move along to the big plays. I'm not sure how much time you have with us, but we usually just kind of move through the games here. Yeah, we'll obviously keep recapping. We're just getting into Texans Jaguars here, and the Jaguars. We kind of had a joke on the show last week, but they're kind of like the new Chargers a little bit in some ways because they just find ways to lose. Texans come back and get the win. Jesse, any thoughts on the Texans? They get the win over the Jaguars. Or any thoughts on the Jaguars and just that kind of 0-4 for a team that really doesn't feel like an 0-4 roster. I don't know. Any thoughts on that game and the Texans pulling out late?
Don't they kind of feel like an 0-4 roster? I mean, they have some guys that are decent. They don't
somebody who drafted Travis Etienne, or
there's not one person on that roster that probably went top 5 fantasy, right? Like none of those guys. They got wide receivers. They overpaid for Gabe Davis. And the worst part is you go and overpay for a dude who you really want, but now you forget how to use him. I think coaching obviously has a lot to do with that. But I'm going to lay it out here. And my co-host, Jason, he's going to hate me for this because he loves the Prince of football. But Trevor Lawrence is mid quarterback in the NFL.
Sunshine,
Jimmy?
sunshine.
Love it.
All that rubbing ain't gonna make that hair grow back any faster now, bro.
No, man, I'm telling you, best hair in football. But they were mid quarterbacking.
Really
they
deep
were like
voice too.
Jimmy, they were okay after like 11 weeks last year. They were like more than okay. And then all of a sudden, you talk about just rock bottom. I mean, that's literally what's happened. They didn't win one game this whole month. They blew like 3 of them.
I really don't. I mean, I agree with the talent. The talent is not there. As somebody who has I have Travis Etienne on my fantasy team, and he either scores a touchdown, then fumbles at the end of the game, so he finishes with a solid 0, or it gives me like 3.6 points a game. So it absolutely does nothing to have them there or on the bench. It doesn't mean anything. There's something with these Florida teams outside of Tampa Bay, because Tampa's always been successful. But I go back, I listen to Mark Schlereth a lot, and he talks about the year that the Broncos played the Super Bowl in Miami. And they had the first week, they got down there a week and a half early. The first couple of days were just hang out, get acclimated, get all of your fun out now so that we can be focused on the game. And one of the offensive linemen walks into the meeting room when they're getting ready for the Super Bowl. It's like, I have 12 reasons why the Miami Dolphins will never win a Super Bowl. And these are all the 12 strip clubs that I went to last night. Maybe it's distractions. Maybe it's just not taking things seriously. Doug Peterson looks like he's hanging out on the golf course. Like, Doug Peterson is in his Steve Spurrier era. You guys remember Steve Spurrier at the end of his career when he would definitely cancel practice to go golf, like go hit nine holes at the end of the day? Oh, don't worry about it. We're just playing Florida State. It's not like this will be hard, right? I'm just going to go get a quick 9 in.
Who was was it Meyer? He was the guy that kind of had that same sort of attitude with the Jaguars. They took it over. Brian, I mean, Stroud continues to have a little magic, though, with his game. I mean, I'm about to say it was a pretty win, but he did deliver at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it was what they needed. They needed a win to bounce back from getting absolutely demolished last week. So
yeah, they got bad. They moved to 3-1 now. They're ahead in that division in the AFC South, and there as well. NFC South. I kind of put a bow on that. We have the Bucks at 3-1. The one team that is continued to be the biggest surprise, I would say, in the NFL, and they got off to an unbelievable start today, was the Vikings and Packers. The Vikings again. They moved to 4-0. Love was back for the Packers today, but it didn't matter. Darnold and the Vikings get up 28-0. They do just enough to hold on late, and the Packers fall to move to 2-2, and the Vikings stay strong at 4-0. Brian Johnson, my goodness, what is going on with these Vikings? Sam Darnold, what are we doing here? The ghosts that they've gone away. This man is strong. What's happening here?
I don't know what's going on with Darnold. I mean, I didn't think he could be a starting quarterback. He proved me wrong. So I don't know. It's just.
I mean, 4-0, Jesse. I mean, that's got to be the biggest surprise, right?
I'd say so. I mean, they don't really have much of a run game anymore. They got Aaron Jones from Green Bay, but he's not had like this, amazing start to the season. And then, of course, the biggest surprise is Sam Darnold. Like out here on the West Coast, I watch his USC Trojans trounce the Ducks like every year. So I was used to seeing him win games and win big games. And I think, though, the Minnesota Vikings offense is a perfect fit for the stuff that he has. He can sit there in the pocket. If he's got a clean pocket, he can make those reads. He's done it his whole entire career. He's been on some teams that don't have offensive lines. The Minnesota Vikings have a pretty good offensive line. They got a good defense. And the best thing is they have Justin Jefferson. The man is like Gumby out there, and nothing gets past him. So that touchdown pass into the I believe it was the right corner of the end zone, the one that floated. If the defender would have had his head the other way, it probably would have been a pick. But it was a hell of a throw, hell of a catch. And I'm just sitting there thinking, who else besides Justin Jefferson makes that catch? I mean, Justin Jefferson makes the quarterback's job a lot easier.
I mean, it's definitely a factor with Sam Darnold. I mean, you got to feel good when you have a guy like that. You know, at the end of the day, you just got to put it in like a certain radius, and you're going to make. He's got a good chance of coming down with it. I mean, Jimmy. I mean, we talked about like, do we believe in him the last kind of weeks? I mean, at this point, I don't really want to ask the same question, but I mean, it's 4-0 still. I mean, at some point, you get enough wins, you're going to pull yourself. These wins add up, right? At the end of the year, when they add up, they're getting good wins earlier in the year. I mean, they have like 3 good wins right now that you would have thought were lot. I mean, at Green Bay, Niners, and what was it, Texans last week? I mean, I would say that's 3 quality wins to start out the season.
I don't think they're a surprise anymore because they've been this good through the first month of the season. I will say I'm a little bit concerned with the way that they let Green Bay come back with having that big of a lead. That is kind of how the NFL works. Every game, if you look down the scoreboard today, every game was within a possession. That's just kind of how the league is. There wasn't really a blowout, too many of them this week. But it's a little bit concerning to me that they were able to give up as much of the lead as they did. Kudos to them for holding on, because that's what you have to do in the NFL. I think that it goes to, he had a smart transfer. When he was a free agent, there was a lot of teams willing to pay him a lot more money to go out and be a starter again coming out of that Carolina disaster. And he decided, no, I don't need all the money. I don't need everything. Let me go play for Kyle Shanahan as a backup. He was told from the very beginning that he could not take Brock Purdy's job, but he can compete with Trey Lance, and he beat Trey Lance out, and he's learned in a system like he had never learned professional football before. He had Matt Rule as a head coach and Matt Rule and Adam Gase as his head coaches for like the first 4 or 5 years of his career. Year 7 seems to be when guys seem to figure it out, and he's using what he learned from San Francisco. That's what we're seeing in Kevin O'Connell's offense right now. It's very similar, and he's running it to perfection.
Man, I'm just still stunned. 4-0. I mean, the Adam Gase part. Wow, that's a name I haven't heard of. Let me ask you, out of this early on, would you trust the Commanders, Vikings, or Buccaneers more out of those teams? Jesse, who would you trust more? Commanders, Vikings, Bucs. If I just said those 3 teams, which one you trusted more?
I'm going Tampa Bay because they've been there. They're tried and true. But I'm telling you, Jaden Daniels.
All right, Jesse. All right.
Jaden Daniels is growing on me. This kid is like leaps and bounds, like just every week. And it's only his 4th week in the NFL. Like, this is crazy what that kid can do. The only reason to me Minnesota is less trustworthy than the others is because eventually they're going to hit a wall of teams that are just. They won't allow that big run at the beginning. They'll be able to slow the pace of the football game. Yeah. The clock control will be better. Jordan Love, by the way, also hadn't played since week 1?
Yeah.
I think it was week 1, so he's had time off. He's trying to heal up. And their offense is also very young. And so I think the Minnesota it's been a perfect storm for them, but eventually it won't be.
Brian, I know you'll have Bucs 1. So is it Commanders or would it be Vikings that you trust more between those 2 teams? Commanders and Vikings.
I would say Vikings over Commanders because the Commanders still have a rookie running the show. So
I know. I was curious. They're off to a good start. Jimmy, you feel the same way? You take Vikings over the Commanders? I would say
as of now, yes, but that could change pretty quickly with what Jaden Daniels is putting together the last 2 weeks. Now he's throwing touchdown passes, and he was over 200 yards a game and multiple touchdowns and running all over the field. Like, he is. I was one of those people pushing the Looney Tunes video from his college days where it looked like every single game that he played, he'd get blown up at least once. He's very, very talented running on the edge in the NFL with a ton of better athletes. It's kind of insane to see how much he's matured just within that short 3-week span already.
As we get to the next game up here, I mean, what a play here by Jamar Chase as he kind of, gets loose here against the Panthers, bouncing off there, goes up 14-7. The highlight I got up on the screen here. Jimmy, your Bengals, they beat the Panthers. Obviously, they destroyed my Raiders last week and was just a sickening loss that I obviously was pissed about last week. You guys are in the win column now. I love when you wear those uniforms, by the way. Just as good as they get when they wear those uniform choice.
Better than the all orange by far.
Oh, yeah. That uniform is as good.
That's what we wore week 1. Remember? That's what the Patriots humped us up and down the field wearing.
They did. Yeah, that was a terrible choice, game-wise and uniform. I mean, Chase is a beast. This is why you got to pay him. I mean, that's why you got to get it done. I mean, this is
the crazy thing is that they've done everything outside of the Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow moves to keep those two guys around each other. Like they have moved all of the pieces to make sure that they have the money. Yet I still sit here and I still have to deal with. I have to. I obviously never met the guy, but I have to think that Paul Brown. This is not the idea that he had for his team. We do not need to be the cheapest organization of all time. We do not need to have these guys sharing Gatorade cups and jock straps at practice. You can pay guys. Salary cap just continues to go up and up and up and up. You got the fact that TJ Hushmanzada is there and he's training a lot of the receivers in the offseason and he's still sticking around the team. Ocho Cinco still loves the team. All these guys are trying. They're building a ring of fame. The only thing that's left is this owner to get his fat ass off his wallet. And he won't do it. Wow. And it does. It affects everything. Today was the first day that you can see like everybody seemed to be in somewhat of a good mood, but the defense was still iffy. I was still stressed for long portions of that game. We got lucky where we had one stop and we got the 2-score swing in the middle of the game. Other than that, it's a very tight ball game. It was still a very tight ball game. Like that could have been a 3-point game easy. Yeah. I could have been sweating it out all the way to the end.
I thought you were going to have. I thought the Panthers were going to make that comeback.
Andy Dalton was 2-1 going into today, by the way, against the Bengals.
No, Brian, I'm not sure. I don't think that is you. I think you're good. Jesse, what do you make of the Bengals? Do you think they're 1-3? You still trust them?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of crapped on Burrow the last couple of weeks, but like honestly, his numbers haven't been that bad, and the defense is really the worrisome part in Cincinnati. I think that as long as Burrow's in charge, he's always going to have a command presence in his NFL career until the day he retires. That some people are just built with it, right? Like Joe Montana type stuff. Like Joe Burrow's got that swag that he can come in and command an offense and make those passes and command the offense to up and down the field. Jamar Chase, Cincinnati fans, y'all can worry about the payday all you want to, but what I'd worry about right now is getting, back to 500. Like you got to just worry about next week and worry about the next week, and then 1 week at a time, just pick up those wins. Whether they come against Carolina or they come against like Kansas City, it does not matter at this point in time. A win is a win. This is a very important time in everyone's season. This is his first 5 games, right? You really want to make sure that you have a decent record at the end of this 5-game stretch. So I'm not worried about Cincinnati. I like Burrow, always have, loved him in LSU. By the way, I want to go back to the Jaden Daniels thing, LSU product as well. And by the way, that kid was he was accurate as hell in college football, and he's showing that on the field. Another reason why I like that kid. But no worries in Cincinnati.
The Bengals, the next few weeks here, you can play the Ravens, you go at New York,
they were lucky to be last in the division last year, so we don't have that difficult of a schedule moving forward. But it is, I put it out there on my show, no more are the illusions of grandeur of an AFC title contender. I'm just hoping that we play competitively each week. That's the baseline now. After what I did before that game against Washington, and saying all that I did about how it's a rookie quarterback and this defense was going to play up to its potential, maybe the defense just isn't good. They have a lot of guys that are hurt. They have some guys that are stepping up. I will say Chris Jenkins Jr. made a couple of the plays that helped the Bengals. They held the lead initially. They got back into the lead, and then they were able to pull away 10 points. That was about as much separation as was between the two teams all day. Like Chris Jenkins Jr. was doing a lot of good, but it is very much like, now we can't. We should have known as a team. I first got to send a text message about a Bengals playoff victory 3 seasons ago, Daren, when we beat you guys. That was the first time ever.
I know. Don't remind me of that. It's like I've been through it. Don't remind me of my.
I'm just saying we got to be at the. We're back at the stage where I told Nico on our show, time is a flat circle. We're about to get to episode 200, and I'm back to the place where I'm like sitting there watching a game against the Redskins. Like, are you kidding me? We can't do anything. We can't win.
And we have the Bills. They get on the board there. It looks like Brian. They get up. They get a touchdown here. They get some of the play up on the board on it.
I just want to talk about Lamar Jackson. That was a god awful throw. You should have just took the sack there because it was a potential grounding.
Yeah, Lamar.
He's a very good football player, below average quarterback.
Best of the rest, and we'll get to news and notes here as we kind of get through 21-10, Jesse. So you guys get a touchdown there. Big touchdown.
Got to score. Got to get points if you want to try to come back.
There we go. You get the first start of it there. Little magic by Josh Allen there to keep it going for you guys.
Jesse, can I ask you real quick? Did you when Josh Allen was initially because Josh Allen initially had a lot of plays where he just mashed all the buttons and just kind of panicked and threw the ball different places. When he was doing those kinds of things, how hard was it to stay optimistic and be like, well, maybe one day he can figure it all out and become the athletic freak and the monster that we can see in him?
It's tough every game, man. Like I was just watching a couple throws in the second quarter when you could see Josh gets this weird panic look in his face and he's like, I got to make a play. And, you got a couple drops. Dalton Kincaid, I think, had a drop that would have been a first down. There's a couple other plays that didn't go our way. Now Josh is trying to force passes, and it's not as bad. I think Joe Brady's done a good job of dialing him in or trying to rope him in a little bit more.
Another LSU connection, by the way.
There we go. I like that. Another LSU connection, by the way, of course. But with Josh, to coach Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or even Mahomes and even guys like these newcomers like Jaden Daniels and so on, to coach these guys knowing that they can do the miraculous things that they can do, but yet try to create a football player out of them. What you said about Lamar being a great what did you say? He was a great athlete, but a great
football player, below average quarterback.
I absolutely love that because honestly, I know Anthony Richardson was getting a lot of heat this year. He's going to be the next big thing. He's 6'4", 6'5", 250 pounds. He's got a bazooka on his shoulder. And you know what? I'm not saying the kid can't put it together yet, but he's going to need the right coaching staff with Josh Allen. I think Joe Brady has helped him figure some of that stuff out as far as when do you be an athlete on the field and when are you a quarterback?
Darren, we got to keep finding more people that agree with me because this is awesome.
That's why I like Brian. He likes to give you. That's why we like it. He keep you on your toes once in a while. Brian, it looks like you froze there a little bit. Jump back on here in just a second, bud. All right. So as we were talking about Anthony Richardson there, just kind of quickly, they do end up beating the Steelers for their first win there.
I'm all stretched up. My legs are loose.
You can't go there yet. You got to make sure he has a play. But Flacco does get in the game. They do pull it out. Brian, anytime a team's going to beat the Steelers, I'm always okay with that. So I'm all right with it. I don't really take much of it other than I think this maybe this is a world where the Steelers come back to earth. That's what I'm thinking, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems when they fall from behind, they're just not as good.
And when you have Fields and you have to come back by 14 points, that doesn't have you in your advantage to go that way with it. It's never going to be that case. Jimmy, are you saying that you think Richardson, when you say your victory lap, what do you clarify that for me, please?
Joe Flacco got in and they won a football game.
All right, gotcha. Okay.
Anthony Richardson isn't the reason they won a football game. And the Colts have some pretty good weapons when they have a guy that can throw to them consistently instead of the one-hit wonder that can slip and throw it 90 yards. God, I wish I ever dreamed of being that athletic. I don't make my characters in my video games that athletic because I wanted to be a little bit realistic. I am not saying anything bad about what he can do on the field, but as a quarterback, I don't want him for my team.
He gets hurt.
Joe Flacco apparently can still, play. And the interview, the quote came out. He's like, I'm 8 days younger than Anthony Richardson's mom. And I won the football game, and Anthony Richardson can't.
Was Zach Wilson at this game? No.
I mean, let's be a little bit fair toward Richardson. It was just make Fitzpatrick. It was just a big hit. I mean, that's what that guy does for a living. So I can't be too hard on Trent Richardson. He did have a good game until he got hit.
It's the reason why I continually talk about why he won't ever be successful, because he has to run and play this style, and he's going to take hits like that because he's big, and the referees are going to see him taking hits like this, and they're not going to call penalties.
He's got to learn to get down better.
Yeah, if you can learn how to slide and learn how to throw more consistently than 9 for 17, then I can see you as a very dangerous threat.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't see it yet. I have my reasons, and my reasons were proven correct today. And I just like to remind Colts fans that you were trying to You were trying to get me to apologize after you lost week 1 when he did finish a game, his second full game in his career after week 1. And I said I wasn't going to apologize, and I'm still not apologizing. And in fact, I think I'm owed an apology. So until you guys apologize, I'm going to continue to bash and be the biggest Colts hater on the internet.
You sound like me with Derek Carr. I'm feeling the same energy right there, Brian. I'm feeling that same energy that he has there. Hey, Brian, Bo Nix, he gets the job done. They win 10-9 over Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. How much did you?
Why? This ain't got no alibi. It's ugly. What? It's ugly.
At this at Papa's Pizza where I go to, where I watch the games there for a couple hours usually, or in the afternoon here. Randomly today, Brian, there was a Broncos fan up here in Cloverdale, California, and he was rooting him on, and he got a lucky break. I wanted him to lose, of course. The Broncos are the team I hate the most, but they did pull it out against the Jets. Won 10-9, and then I got Caleb Williams. He leads 4 scores against the Rams. Which game you want to go with, Brian?
I'm going to go with the Broncos game because it looked like Rodgers wanted to kill Saul at the end of the game in the press conference.
I don't know if Saul is going to make it too much farther. I got a few Jets fans I know, like from X, and they have a tendency to be a little harsh on him as well with it. Jimmy, I think there's a good chance. How's your brother feel about him?
I texted him early on after that first fair catch interference. I said that's the dirtiest play that one of the dirtiest plays I've seen in recent memory, and I hope you guys lose by 50. There was no way this game was touching 50 points, apparently, because both defenses were insane. I do want to say I've looked it up, and now there's a whole controversy about how to say his name. He was on the radio and said that his name was Beatty, not Batty or Bidet, because the CBS continually tries to call him Bidet. But Tyler Beatty had a situation on the sidelines where he ended up collapsing he got hit in the back from Quincy Williams and ended up, I think it was damage to his kidney. So he had internal organ damage, able to get off the field and can feel all of his extremities. That was kind of nerve-wracking initially. But this game had such
what a throw.
There was no reason. This game on Red Zone would have been forgotten about because neither team could do a single thing. The weather must have had a thing to do with it. I think Nathaniel Hackett, Robert Saleh probably had something to do with it. If I'm a Broncos fan, Bo Nix threw his first touchdown pass, and that ended up being like the deciding factor of the game. And Vance Joseph can coach a hell of a defense after giving up 70 points in Miami last year. Outside of that, this is just like I don't know. You can't really take anything from this game from either side because there's so many excuses from both sides. I don't know if this is I don't know if this makes the seat under Robert Saleh hotter because as of now, they are still 2-2. They're right there in the division. And it was shitty, inclement conditions. And it was a 1-point loss to a bad team. Like you want that one back. You don't want that one to go on your record. I don't think that this is the reason why Saleh has a hot seat, though.
Jesse, you see the Jets obviously a lot. You're an AFC East guy. What do you kind of make of that? The Jets in general here, like they're the one that's probably going to give you a push, right, for the division. You would think.
Well, maybe now, but at the beginning on that other sports show, we always do an over/under show, and I picked the Jets to be. Well, I picked the Patriots to be dead last, but I picked the Jets to be third in the division, and then Miami, and then Buffalo, obviously winning the AFC East. And everybody was like, why would you pick the Jets? They got Aaron Rodgers. He's back. He's healthy. He's had time off. They got Garrett Wilson. They got some of this. They got Mike Williams out there, the former Charger. They got some of these, badass defense. And they do. Their defense is badass. I think their defense is. But I'm going to tell you what, man, like Rodgers has lost a step. Last week, the man threw for like 180 yards. He made one solid pass, one. And the announcers made him to be like a god with one pass. Thank you for doing something that you are required to do for your position. Make passes. Good job, Aaron Rodgers. You godlike human being quarterback. I know that Aaron Rodgers is a huge figure in football. I get it. But, let's be real. He hasn't sniffed a Super Bowl in years. I don't see him sniffing a Super Bowl with the Jets. I see him retiring at some point in time, miserable in New York. And I see New York until Robert Saleh is an issue. He is. I don't know how much of the hot seat he really is, but I think that people in New York are talking. At least they're in East Rutherford. I think they're talking.
Yeah,
but they need to figure something out because if Aaron Rodgers is better than what I think he is right now at this very moment, then he should have easily beaten the Denver Broncos with the offensive weapons that he does have. And so there's seriously something wrong in New York.
Brian, you were going to say something there?
I was just going to say that you got to put the Jets ahead of Miami. Miami's a disaster right now.
Especially if Tua doesn't play.
Yeah.
I mean, they looked awful against Seattle the other day. The Caleb Williams, though, I want to say they get the win. They beat the Rams, Brian. They get the W. Doug out there was very he went with the tweet he sent out. He said people now should love Caleb or something like that because they always give him a lot of hate when they lose. They go, that's just the quarterback position, man. That's how that rolls when you're there. So the Bears have to do more, and they got to prove a lot more on offense. I mean, that's just the reality of it. All right, Jimmy, afternoon delight. We should get to a little afternoon delight. We get to that a little bit. My Raiders, they hold off those Douglas Browns 20-16, Brian. I could not believe that they came back. But like I said this morning, these are the games that the Raiders win. Ones they should not win. Ones they should be terrible. But they have Minshew, who will somehow get a random win for them when they probably don't deserve it. They end up getting a sack to beat the game, beat the Browns. And the Browns are the one team where I always feel more confident. Like, I'm always like, that team for sure could do something dumber than my team. So I feel
Browns are a factory of sadness.
Yeah, I always feel good about that for sure. They are, man. So I feel good about
don't
that.
beat my ass too bad in college football when we play later.
He'll take it out on you. So now on Twitter, on Ohio Sports Talk, he has to have a Tim Brown picture, Brian, on their Twitter page now. So if you go to Ohio Sports Talk for the week, he'll have Tim Brown, touchdown Timmy Brown on there from the Raiders with it this week on it. So the Raiders get the win there. Then you have the Niners, kind of expected win against the Patriots, Brian. There were some good highlights there. Ayuk had some nice plays. Fred Warner just continues to be a beast. What do you, Jimmy? What kind of stood out to you between these ones?
The AFC West had a good day. The NFC West, the 49ers, it was a good win for them. And I wish that we did not have the Patriots week 1 because that was the Patriots team that I was expecting to play. And that's what exactly I thought the 49ers should do to the New England Patriots because they are a much better football team, put together much better, even with a limited, I still think the backfield is limited. And I don't know. I'm sure that we'll probably talk about the whole CMC situation because I hope for my fantasy team's sake that is not going to be the end all be all with him going out to Germany and then getting the final diagnosis. But, there wasn't too much surprise. The Browns – The Browns are like, you should believe in karma. Out of any team, you should believe in karma the most, yet you continue to back this guy and you go out there. This was a game you should have won. And the Raiders, they probably – no, Aaron, but with Minshew, Nico opened my eyes a little bit. I love Minshew, and I love the stories going back to Mississippi State. And Minshew is like, if we could ever get him on this show or if I can get him on the far end of the bench, that would be like holy
awesome.
Because I could talk to him and ask him, did you really try and break your hand with a hammer so that you can get an extra year of eligibility for medical care? But this was not a game the Browns should have lost. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, Jesse, I kind of feel the same way. I think the Raiders are the Raiders are the Raiders, but the Browns to me they're both in the same thing. They both just are sucky franchises. It's not surprising the Raiders pull it out. So we're kind of there. Fred Warner, though, I mean, he's got to be the best defensive player in the league, Jesse. I don't know. In my opinion, he is right now. Like, he makes plays every time he's on the field. Like, it's easy, and it's not easy to play middle linebacker like that.
No, middle linebacker is a special position to play. It takes a really special type of athlete, and it takes a really special type of person with the mentality and just the ingenuity to like make those decisive decisions on the field. Like which way's the offense going, left or right, up the middle, whatever. Like, am I covering a tight end? Am I dropping back in the coverage? Am I heading out for a blitz? Like, Fred Warner is one of the best defenders to ever play defense. He could go down in history potentially as the best middle linebacker of all time. And not just that, but I think that, like earlier, I had said that he is one of the most influential and dominant defenders of our time since possibly Aaron Donald played. Fred Warner makes all the plays. Like you said, he makes them look easy. He goes and hits a tackle. It's textbook. There's nothing fancy to his game at all. He just plays with a really fierce physicality on the field. And like I said, everything's textbook, man. If it's a pass play, his hands are up. He tackles at the hips and the legs. Like everything is just. It's like he's been taught this since he was 6 years old or something. You know what I mean? Like he's been playing football. He just knows how to play the game right.
It goes back to his rookie season when they were playing the Seattle Seahawks the last week of the season for the division title, and he had that goal line stand where it was a perfect. Like I coached 7th grade football, and if I could get every single one of my players to have the same tackling form as Fred Warner, we would never give up another yard. But he stuffed a guy right on the edge of the goal line, and we know how much the NFL tries to make all of those review situations go in. Fred Warner there is nothing bad that you can say about the way he plays football. Like that's teach tape. Just put on a Fred Warner game if you're trying to coach linebackers. Like do everything as close to the level as you can do. I know you can't be Fred Warner, but be as close to Fred Warner as you could possibly be.
And it's funny, was he a 3rd-round pick, Brian? 5th-round pick? He wasn't even like a high pick for you guys.
I think we need to give respect to Brock Purdy and Mason. Because Mason's second in the league in rushing, and I don't know why Jimmy would have questions with the running game because Mason just continues to get it done every week. So
fantasy football, Brian. Did you again listen to the words coming out of my mouth? Fantasy ownership. I need CMC back. I don't need him listening to the Carouts and not playing football ever again. I don't give a shit about what they do on the field. I need him on the field for my fantasy stats. That's about it.
Was he your number 1 pick?
Yes, of course.
That's what he was. Like I said, Brian, we talked about that at FAPO. I have my concerns with him not being there later in the year, but as long as he's there, that's all that matters. Were you surprised that my Raiders were able to get the win over the Browns?
Not after I saw Deshaun and the offensive line getting an argument. The Raiders are going to win this game.
Oh, he got bullied today after the first drive.
You guys remember the series in The Longest Yard when the offensive line just decides not to block for Adam Sandler, and he got his head taken off 3 plays in a row, and they're just giving each other dap ups on the way back to the huddle, like, yeah, this guy's gonna yell at me. This guy, okay.
My favorite part of that movie is like, I want to be quarterback. All right, let him throw it to me.
I got
I just ate popcorn. A lot of butter popcorn. I love that part of it. Brian, you guys look good, so you're back to it. Now, like I said, you guys have 2 games here in a row that you need to win to kind of keep that train rolling. I feel like there must.
But that's why I said in the podcast, I'm guaranteeing a 3 game win streak.
And I think that is doable. 28-10 we have here. The Ravens just scored again. It looked like. Is that what I got here? 28-10 now, Ravens with it. So we got a little breaking news there with it as well. As the Bills continue to have to fight back a little bit tonight. We got Jesse here. Jesse, we're almost kind of getting close to the end here right there. We got a few more that we're going to get into. The last one we kind of talked about it was Daniels again real quick, though. I mean, Daniels, and then I have Mahomes and the Chargers. The Chiefs just kind of 4-0. Like it was like this is a different month for them than I'm kind of like used to seeing from them. And then we have Daniels.
Rice injury is going to be deadly for the Kansas City Chiefs. And the way I was watching the game, but I didn't necessarily see that play live. But now going back and seeing the replay, obviously unintentional from Mahomes, but that is talking about an offense that's been struggling, and then you take out your number 1 receiving threat on your own. Like you accidentally snap his leg or whatever the injury is. That did not look good for the Kansas City Chiefs. That is an embodiment of their season up until this point. Yet they're still 4-0.
Yeah, no, they are. That's the thing with it is, I mean, they just continue to kind of like make their way through it. Jesse, what do you make with it with the Commanders looking good against the Cardinals, or like I said, the Chiefs? They lose a big weapon there over the Chargers. What kind of game caught your attention over that list?
Well, I mean, just real quick, can't say enough about Jaden Daniels in his start to the season. I do think the Commanders will, again, kind of hit that wall eventually. They'll start getting a little bit deeper into the thick of things, and then, defenses will start, spying and creating more ways to defend Daniels and what he does. I think that the game against the Cardinals, big game though. Arizona's not a slouch. Kyler Murray, for a minute there, people already this season were saying that he was a potential MVP candidate. And like now, Cardinals like basically put the kibosh on him pretty quick in this game. Patrick Mahomes taking out his own number 1 receiver is phenomenally hilarious to me. Seeing how they've crushed my spirit so many years, in the playoffs, and like I have so much distaste for the Kansas City Chiefs. But, I do love Mahomes. I think they're just going to have to get real creative with what they have left. Xavier Worthy is probably going to get a huge bump. You're going to see some of these other guys get huge bumps. I wouldn't even put it off the radar that the Chiefs try to make a drive for a trade for one of these guys that are out there. I mean, I would hate to see Devontae Adams in a Kansas City Chiefs jersey.
Oh God, there's no way that.
Patrick Mahomes.
No way.
It's Mark Davis. Anything's on the
Oh
table.
God,
I'm telling you, that would crush a lot of people. But
Al Davis would kill him in hell. Al Davis would kill him.
I'll say this about the Kansas
You got to
City
die
Chiefs.
before you go to hell, baby.
Not if you're Al Davis. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have to be a winning franchise. You either have to have a franchise quarterback with possibly a franchise other type, like receiver, running back, so on and so forth. Your defense has to be spot on. Your players, or on the other hand, you can win Super Bowls by coaching staffs. And the Kansas City Chiefs have probably the best coaching staff in the entire league. Andy Reid, to this day right now, is the best head coach in the National Football League. There's not one person more suited to wear a 4X size, slip-on Kansas City shirt and go out there with a headset and call plays for Patrick Mahomes. He will find ways to win games. The Kansas City Chiefs will be in a lot of these games, regardless of Rashee Rice and that injury, which I heard was something that he's probably going to be out for the season. Big loss, but they'll find a way to get back in it.
That's a huge loss. That's a huge loss. Given
Does he
that
look the same way as Willis McGahee?
I mean, they paid off to get the refs. So, I mean, they're damn right they're going to be in the game.
Hey, I'm just going to throw some quick shade right here, but a lot of talk about Travis Kelce and Mahomes not having that connection. I'm just going to say it's because Travis Kelce looks kind of fat. Travis Kelce, he kind of looks a little chubby. He looks a little chunky out there.
I like it.
Tay cooks good dinners.
What
do you expect?
Him and Taylor Swift take him out to all those fancy restaurants, man. He's not eating like the good food in there in the Chiefs, dining hall and stuff. He's eating out too much. He's a little chunky around that midsection. Hey, Trav, you need to get your game up, bro. Get back to the gym. Get swole again. Let's do this if you want to make it fun.
That's that old Julio Cesar Chavez quote. It's hard to get up and run at 4 a.m. when you're sleeping in satin sheets.
Yeah, there you go.
That's funny. That's funny. Eat a little too much cake there, bro. A little too much cake there. We have for little Travis out there. You gotta get yourself. Been flying on the planes too much. The Commanders. I wanted Terrell. Your Commanders are living up to it. They're playing well. Daniels looking good. It's weird to see them actually playing good football. The Chargers, they have a good get out 10-0. Not a surprising loss there with the
and Herbert was taking the helmet and destroying it on the bench.
That one was maybe a little tight on the head. Maybe that was probably the reason for that one. A little tight on the head, right? He could
Stupid thing, I can't hear anything.
Herbert's got a lot of hair, man. He needs a really big helmet.
It needs to get it. I was like Peyton Manning, where he had to scold onto his face. It's like there, it looked like he was gonna have blood vessels pop out.
If you did HGH for that long, your forehead would be that size too.
I love it.
That's how you know it's me on this show and not my co-host, because I'm probably gonna get in trouble with my co-host for that one.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be a fan of that comment there. But hey, he got him a Super Bowl regardless. That we know that. What teams? We do this on Jesse. We say what teams can we cross off the making the playoff list. We know it's early in the year, but we have some fun with it. Right now we have the Giants, the Panthers. A risky pick. We did have the Rams, but they did lose this week, and we have the Titans. Is there any team that we should throw on there that's not making it this week, boys? Anybody?
Arizona.
Cardinals
aren't making the playoffs.
Cardinals. Wow. The Browns, Cardinals, and the Bengals. Is those the three? I can't put the Bengals on.
You can't put the Bengals on there.
No,
you can't
do it.
No, I can't do it. Yeah, I can't do it.
Because they only win when I pick against them. So if I'm going to lose the pick them, I might as well put them on the list so they keep winning. Do it.
Okay, the Bengals, I have a hard time. I can't put the Bengals. I trust them to it. But Jimmy, do you feel that way about the Browns?
They've given up 70 points in the last 2 weeks.
They have been bad.
To two offenses that are not considered elite. Maybe Washington will be considered elite in a couple weeks, but the Panthers should not have scored 24 against us. Our defense is suspect.
It's been a wild year of football, man. We've had the return of Andy Dalton, the redheaded gunslinger. We got Wacko. We got Joe Wacko Flacco back in uniform. I mean, we got some crazy stuff happening in the NFL right now, guys.
It really is, and we got and there's a lot of fun things too. That's why with the teams, we gotta have some fun with messing around with it. I don't know the Bengals. I'm sorry, I can't do that yet. You have too much talent.
The Colts.
Hey, I kind of want to put the Dolphins in there if they have a bad loss tomorrow. If they have a bad loss tomorrow, I kind of feel like they kind of get into my.
Don't we need like a 2-week grace period that's shit on the Dolphins for that concussion?
Who's their quarterback now? Is it like the bus boy? Like did he
Taylor,
just like he rose his hand?
Who's Taylor Heineke playing for? I know that I've seen him out there. Like
he just got traded somewhere this year.
He got
traded to Atlanta.
Yeah, he did. They got Tim Boyle, Tyler Huntley, and Skylar Thompson as their QBs on the roster.
Tim Boyle, that's the name. He is.
I bet you it's Tim Boyle is going to start tomorrow.
Yeah, Tim Boyle's getting the start tomorrow. So they're a team I kind of want to throw on it. Are we willing to put the Browns on there? I'm sorry, Jimmy, I can't put your Bengals on there. We're gonna put the Browns on there, Jesse. You feel like
Doug will win against me until the end of time.
Yeah, that's a tough division to win in anyway. Like, there's a lot of like you're splitting everybody. Every team's possibly splitting a game. But Cleveland already has lost a few games. I'm checking them off. They ain't making the playoffs.
And he lost to the Raiders.
He lost to the Raiders. Hey, you know what, though? I'm okay. As a Raider fan, I got to ask you, who needs to be the starting quarterback? Do you want the beautiful mustachio AOC, or are we doing mullet man, master of the mullets, Minshew? Are we doing Minshew mania forever, guys? What are we doing there?
I don't know if it's forever, but I definitely would rather have him than I think AOC out there.
I want AOC. Put the kid in the game.
I wouldn't hate it if they gave him a chance. And I think he'll get one eventually. I think Minshew will get hurt at some point. I think he just will at some point. And I think he'll get in, or the Raiders will have a bad game and he'll get in some way like that. But I don't know. Minshew, I don't know. He does get – I think when Adams is in there, I'd rather have Minshew. But I don't know. At this point, honestly, it really feels like it kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. It doesn't really matter in some ways. It feels like that way anyways. We just feel stuck. Just stuck. Like, you have him or we go to AOC and then like, oh, nope, now we can go back to Minshew. It's really not like great option.
They should play one half at a time.
Florida Gators, old school.
When Shador and Dion are on the sidelines for Las Vegas next year, what do you think that's going to do to attendance, Daren?
It'll be good. Dion will be our next head coach now. We'll get him next year with it too.
He said he's not leaving. I will put that back out there. He said at the beginning of the season is not here to leave with his kids to the NFL. But
that's a lie.
But with what Carson Beck did against Alabama, there ain't no way Carson Beck's going to be the number one quarterback drafted next year.
No, he looked
terrible. Can't throw a deep ball.
He looked terrible. That wide receiver, though, quite a play there. That was quite the play by Mr. Williams there. What do you guys think as we kind of get into Week 5 look ahead? I know we still got Sunday night game going on. We got the 2 Monday night games as well. But as we kind of look ahead to Week 5, kind of give us a little look ahead there to it. The Thursday night game, Tampa Bay at Atlanta. There'll be some standings there with that one as well. So big game. You have I would say with that, it'll be interesting. You got your Bengals are going against the Ravens. You have Buffalo versus Houston.
We're gonna get killed.
You got Arizona at Arizona at San Francisco, and then you got Dallas at Pittsburgh Sunday night, and then the Monday night game is New Orleans at Kansas City. So feel a little, not like maybe a great slate looking at it right now, but I think there'll probably be some decent games along the way too. Cleveland at Washington. Let's see if the Commanders, that's a good chance for them to get another W. And then the Bears again, or the Vikings, I said they could go to 5-0 with a win against the Jets. So if Saleh loses that,
there's no way I'm going to let Daren wear the Cards hat next week. There's no way.
No way I'm getting it on. It is on the big board here just in case, Brian. We need to pull it down for a rare win. I'll dust off the cobwebs if we can get that second whiff of it. Ryan, yes, we'll get that next week with the Mr. McNair duck. We'll get that there.
I can't tell you guys real stories.
Not yet. We can't do
tell
that.
Tell us one. No, I can't. I can't tell you. Legally, I can't.
Yeah, do it. What do you think about you guys play the Texans next week? It looks like you're going to lose to the Ravens, unfortunately, this week.
Yeah.
You're on the road next week against the Texans. How you feeling about that one? Early thoughts, Jesse?
Playing a game like tonight against Baltimore, I think, people seem to lose sight that, they may be like, they may have they're 1-2 right now. They're going to be 2-2 after tonight. But last year they were just in the AFC Championship dogfight with the Chiefs. So they are not like a terrible football team. They're going to They're going to find a way to win games, and they can still win big games against big teams. That's what happens in the National Football League. Not everybody wins every game.
Yeah.
The Texans is going to be another measuring stick, though, because now you got this young team. The return of Stephon Diggs, like Bills and Diggs, they get to be in front of each other, for the first time since all that ugliness happened this offseason.
True.
I think that it's going to take a lot of adjustments for Buffalo, but I want to see Joe Brady. One thing I didn't see Brady do a lot tonight that he's done in the past couple weeks is a lot of motion, off motion sets. He kind of played straight up football against the Ravens, which I think is a really that's not a good chemistry when it comes, because that's how Baltimore plays defense, is straight up. They got their linebackers set. Everybody plays squared up. I think that having some motions and stuff would have really helped tonight. It's helped the last 3 weeks. I'd like to see us get back to that, and I think that we'll get on the win streak again.
It's a dangerous game to play, but thinking about it, obviously the Bills probably look at the Ravens as a team that they'll probably see in the playoffs or some point later on in the season. They might have just been seeing what adjustments, because everybody knows the adjustment to make against Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, but they're just trying to see what their defense looks like now. Because I remember there's always been the playoffs matchups between the Ravens and the Bills, and the Bills somehow come back. Even though the Ravens somehow beat them in the regular season, the Bills dominate them in the playoffs. So this maybe just be a data collection type thing. There you go, Darren. I'm throwing in another education term.
I like it. You got your Bengals against the Ravens next week. So we'll see if you guys can bounce.
We're gonna get killed. You know why? Because we can't tackle on the edge. We couldn't tackle Jaden Daniels on the edge. Ain't no way we're tackling Lamar Jackson. And if we do, they got 450 pounds of humanity with Ricard as the fullback for Derrick Henry. If there's ever been a running back that does not need a 310-pound fullback, it's Derrick Henry. But he's got it.
He does not need one. He's already, and he goes untouched in that first touchdown.
Did you see that dude that tried to make the tackle on him in the second quarter for the Bills? He still might be down.
Taylor Rapp, please excuse me if this is too soon, but I believe that Taylor Rapp died on the football field tonight trying to make a tackle on Derrick Henry.
You said it. I'm glad you said it and not me, but you can say that.
Business decision.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I've been kind of nervous the entire night.
Taylor Rapp was like, I'm gonna make this tackle, and then Derrick Henry was like, you will. It's gonna hurt you a lot more than it hurts me, but you will. Let's do it.
He's the one guy when you see him coming down full speed, you just be like, oh my gosh, that's a
I'm gonna take the minus on this play.
Yeah, that's like, I don't know. That seems like a spot where you might want to just hold out with him doing this. Is him against the Bills here, just finishing it.
Where's Taylor? Where's Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, what a cut there. I mean, that's a great
run.
Yeah. That wasn't that one. That was the fourth quarter. That was after everybody realized, we shouldn't get in front of him when they tossed it to him anymore.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah, we got to get out of the way now with that one. And then the other game I wanted to just say real quick, Brian, is you got the Cardinals there with it as well. But then my Raiders play
we get Brady. Brady's doing our game.
Whoa, he's not doing the Cowboys finally? They're on Sunday night, so he can't do it.
He's doing the Niners Cards game this week. So
thank God. I thought he was just the Cowboys announcer the whole time. That's all he was going to do.
The Redskins don't exist anymore, Terrell.
Don't tell him any different. They do exist in it. They do.
The Commanders whooped the shit out of the Bengals. The Redskins didn't do anything.
Cowboys at Steelers is kind of an interesting game for me. That is kind of one. And then you have Thursday night. You have Bucks Falcons. That will be kind of a standings. Next week's the first week with buys, gentlemen. So the first buys are Detroit, Tennessee, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles. So that's the first week of the buys there with it. All right, who we got Monday night? Dolphins. We got Titans at Dolphins. Seattle at Detroit. Brian, who are you taking in these two games?
Well, the first game is god awful. I mean, it's a futility bowl, but I'm gonna go.
Was it Tom Brady or what was it? Who was the Tim Boyle? Who was it? We got Boyle.
Tim Boyle and Will Levis.
Yeah, that's a good matchup right there, Brian. Yeah, who you got?
I'm gonna go the Tennessee Titans again.
Seahawks Lions. Who you got? That one.
I got the Lions. I think they're gonna get back into form and they're gonna start feeding Laporta some more.
If the Seahawks could go undefeated after 4 weeks, that would be a big shock as well. Here, they stay undefeated. Jesse, who do you like in these two games?
I like Miami. Surprising to me as well. I do. I think that all Miami really has to do is just hand the ball off. McDaniels is going to have to come up with a few little, like shorter drop-off pass, pre-motion snap, time to like give Tyreek Hill some space. Waddle some space. I think that they're good enough to beat the Titans. With Seattle, Detroit, I'm going to go with Detroit as well. I think Detroit's played solid football minus like one game. I mean, they've lost even playing solid football, but I think that Seattle's going to come to earth, and I think that Goff will get back on track, and that running game will get back on track.
Pilato?
Titans game is going to be tough to watch. I'm glad I'm coaching my practice during that one. The Seahawks and Lions game, I think that 4 points is probably fair. I think that one's going to be down to the wire. I'm going to give my faith to the Lions because of the way that they're built. They're built running game and offensive line out. So as an offensive lineman, I'm going to take the Lions. But I've been really impressed with the Seahawks, especially defensively. Yeah. I just worry about them because they've played the Broncos and like the Cardinals, a couple other teams that don't really have anything figured out on offense. This is the best test that they've played so far. So if they get 4-0, they deserve it. Mike McDonald is quick to be in that coach of the year conversation, but I just have too much faith in the Lions right now.
I mean, if the Seahawks pull this out, I'd be impressed if they get that. They get the job done in that game. Winning at Detroit, and Detroit, I'd be very disappointed if you lose that game. That'd be a lot.
Coach ain't losing this game.
Yeah,
Eminem is putting out too good of music right now. Detroit, you can't fall off yet. You can't fall off right now. You'll have Eminem songs until you're done with the Super Bowl run at this rate.
Don't lose the hype. We got it there with it. Jesse, on this show, we do winners and losers of week 4. That we'll call it a show here after this. Thanks for joining us this week. That other sports show, I know you guys will hit on some of this stuff during your show as well. Appreciate you kind of hanging out here with us on a Sunday night. Let's wrap it up. Good gentlemen here at Variety Sports Network, Talking the Gridiron. Brian, who hit me with your winners and losers of week 4?
I'm going to say the loser's Deshaun Watson. He's like living on borrowed time. I think it's Winston time right now.
Winston time. I like it. Who do you got for winner?
And then my winner is going to be my Niners. We got off the schneid and got the win we needed. And like I said, it's going to be a 3-game winning streak.
We can feel it, ladies and gentlemen. We love it. We love it. He's calling the prediction right now on the show.
Like Jim Fossil, I'm putting my chips on the table.
Jim Fossil. I put the name there with that. I love it. We're going to the playoffs. When you had Kerry Collins, that was a ballsy call to do that. What do you got, Jesse, for winner and losers of the week here?
Winners of the week, I'm going to go with Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. I'm telling you right now, it was a great game, big win, lots of points. Jaden Daniels good from the pocket and with the running game. Losers of the week, I just saw it. I feel really bad, but I'm going to go Taylor Rapp. Taylor Rapp trying to tackle Derrick Henry. The loser of the week, he should never have tried it. Go for that fake shoelace tackle. Like it looks like you're going for it, but like you're not really trying.
Oh, dang.
Get up and hit the ground a couple times. Be like, don't come out with a concussion, bro. That's not a good look.
And then who'd you say your winner was?
Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders.
Gotcha. Good call there with it. Jimmy, who do you have?
The state of Colorado, because we don't care about Air Force and Colorado State. Colorado State had a bye, so technically they did win. Air Force lost to Wyoming, but what the CU Buffaloes have done in the last 2 weeks, plus what the Broncos have done in the last 2 weeks, if I was a business owner in the state of Colorado right now, especially around that Denver Boulder area, I'd be like licking my chops because we have not had a weekend where the CU Buffs and the Denver Broncos are worth talking about for a long time. It's been a very extended period of time. I know that it grinds your gears, Daren, but hey, they won. They're 2-2, and the Buffs are 4-1. They just won their first road Big 12 game. Like, holy shit. And Travis Hunter is still the best player in college football. Man, that is without a doubt now.
I hear you. There used to be a day a long time ago where Cal and Stanford were once good with our NFL teams. That does
the bench is on the field.
Oh, my God. That's a good call there with the winners and losers of the week. My winner of the week it's Frederick Ward. Right? I think I called it out. The guy is just, I that position to me, middle linebacker, and when there's a special player, it just like always catches my attention. And this guy like legally throws complete freaking punches at the ball, and I'm like, and he just makes all contact with the ball. I'm like, man, he didn't even hit the guy in the chest or the helmet. He just like
basketball. He's the defensive player of the year by far.
Yeah, he reminds me of like Iguodala back in the day with the Warriors, where he gets like all those steals with that. So he definitely winner of the week for me on that one as well. Loser of the week, Brian, you had the same thing I had. It's going to continue to be Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Like he has I mean, if there's a cliff, he is rolling down that thing at snowball speed. That thing is like
was in need
he's
of a
done.
stress relief massage.
He's done. Like every week, I just am more and more come away. This guy is done. He's cooked. I mean, he was a top 3 quarterback 5 years ago, almost looked upon, and now he's awful. So
Darren, not every story has a happy ending.
Deshaun Watson has an incredibly fast fall from grace story. It's crazy how fast.
I mean, how long do you normally last in that situation? I don't know if I could be any better than him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it depends on how many massage parlors I've visited, though.
Him and Robert Kraft need to get together in the offseason, compare notes.
My other loser too is the Jaguars. I continue to pile on that team too as well.
1, 2, 3,
Cancun, we're out with it. 35-10 now I have as a wrap it up here Sunday night. Jesse, thanks for joining us. I know when your Bills play on Sunday night, it's kind of tough when your team playing. Maybe it made it a little easier because they're getting their butt kicked, but appreciate you spending some time with us.
My team. Just because it's your team.
Thanks for letting me on the show. I appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, it was good. Your football takes are always good. You guys getting out a show this week? That other sports show?
Yeah, we're gonna be busting out a show here pretty soon. I know that this week it was my fault. I got out of pocket. Some things kind of went awry. And then the week before, we were just planning on taking off anyway. So we're probably gonna be putting one out here pretty soon.
Well, appreciate it, man. Thanks again. We'd love to have you on again as we kind of move through the season here on Sunday night. So let me know. I'll reach out to you. Maybe we can get you on again. That'd be great.
I'm off on weekends, so get a hold of me, dude.
Cool. Jimmy, you guys got number 200?
And it's a lie from the dead, but me and Tyler are going to start doing T&B podcast.
I know. It's like you guys are like those, like, what do you call them, mines? And every once in a while, you just walk along and you hit one of them. And you guys, like, I'll be like, what the hell? They're doing a show all of a sudden. I'd be like,
God Almighty. Good God Almighty.
I know. I'm like, hey, they're back. And then, wait, nope, they're
it's
back.
Undertaker. I thought that he was burned alive by his brother Kane.
They're back with it. Jimmy, you guys got number 200 this week, far into the bench on Thursday?
Technically, yes. 200.
Right.
I looked at it today. Our stats, like the number of episodes that we put out with all the playoff lives that we did, we don't count those in like we're that pretentious where we have a canonical 200 and then we have like the other 146 that we just don't really. It is a cool milestone. It's also we just passed 4 years of doing the show. So I am excited for what we have for Thursday. Everybody should tune in. Nico and I are going to be by ourselves talking like the up-to-date sports from 6 to 7. And then we have guests coming on. We have Daren coming on. We're going to talk about all of the like major history because if we don't realize we're a Denver sports podcast and in the 4 years that we've done this show, while the Broncos and Bengals have sucked eggs the entire time, we've won an NBA championship and we've won a Stanley Cup, and my co-host Nico Bryan has drank out of that Stanley Cup. So we have a lot to talk about on Thursday, but episode 200 is coming up then at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Everybody will – hopefully you at least tune in for all of the guests that we have coming up because it's not just Daren. We have a whole bunch of people that are coming back, making appearances, trying to make this as
the main attraction, of course. So
of course. Of course. You and obviously, like the fact that we've been doing this for 4 years, Nico and I have made like we've been around for a while. Like the guys that we've met in this game, unfortunately, for the most part, don't necessarily work out. Like yes, Brian and I got at each other a little bit, but we make sure that we check in with each other. Like, hey, this is just.
For sure.
It's all love. There have been times where it hasn't been all love, and Nico and I have been through those, and now we're at the point where we can talk shit. We can be like, yes, that's. I'm much more of a Cody Rhodes fan, but the Roman Reigns storyline, we were the chosen. You were the chosen ones. What were you gonna do? And now I'm
just watch what you say about Baker. He's my boy. Come on.
Baker's fine.
You gotta listen. You gotta go back to before we were listenable, like before we had the really good shit that we put out now, which everybody should go follow at FEO TV Pod. I was a Baker fan going back to the crotch grab against Nebraska.
The crotch grab, always a famous part of his game. And then they had the flag, right? That as well.
The flag plant.
Can't
forget that. Nick Bosa gone back for that one.
Nick did get him back for that one. All right. So week 4 in the books. That was a fun show, guys. hit on a lot of things there with it. We'll be back with you next week for week 5 as we keep chugging along here on Variety Sports Network. So for Jesse over there at that other sports show, be sure to check that out. Before Brian the Main Man Johnson and his San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy Pilato, I'm Daren Breyer. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.